Okay, here goes. This is a story about loneliness and making friends. What's so scary about making friends? Plenty, if your new friend likes to play some very dangerous games. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, I call this story The Tale of the Lonely Doll. Janine was playing a video game when she had the weird feeling someone was watching. She looked up, and there was her kid sister Mary staring at her with her big eyes. Mary was always hanging around, sucking your thumb, saying nothing. It drove Janine crazy. Yeah, what do you want? Look what you made me do. Wanted to show you something, Mary said. As always, Janine felt immediately bad for yelling at Mary. She was only a kid after all. Show me what? She asked, more nicely. I got a new friend, said Mary, holding something out. Look. It was a dirty, ragged doll, missing most of its hair. Ew, said Janine. That's disgusting. But she talks, said Mary. Listen. She pulled a ring that hung out of the doll's back.
Hello. My name is Talking Terry. I like my new home.
That voice gave Janine a funny feeling. Mary was smiling at her doll, but the doll seemed to be staring at Janine. Its plastic eyes glittered. Janine stepped back. Who gave it to you? She asked. No one, said Mary. I was out back by myself. Talking Terry said she's my friend. Janine felt bad again. Mary was by herself because her big sister wouldn't play with her. Their mom was always scolding her about it. But that doll was disgusting. It was really gross. Janine turned and headed out of the room. The two girls shared a bedroom, and there was a big trunk where they kept all their stuff. To Janine's disgust, Mary wanted to keep Talking Terry in the trunk. Their mom backed her up. Even though the doll didn't look very nice, Mary had every right to keep it. But Janine had a hard time going to sleep that night with that thing in their room. She kept thinking she heard noises coming from the trunk. And when she finally fell asleep, she had a terrible dream. The doll was crouched over something, ripping at it like an animal.
I'm your only dolly now.
Janine screamed and woke with a start. It was morning. She looked across the room and gasped. It looked like the trunk had exploded. All their toys and dolls were scattered across the floor, broken, shredded, ripped to pieces. Janine ran to the trunk and looked in. There at the bottom was Talking Terry, staring up and grinning. The door opened and their mom came in. What on earth? She said. Who did this? That did, Janine cried, pointing. That thing. Their mom frowned. Janine, you're in charge of this room, she said. Clean this up at once. Janine grabbed the doll. It was weirdly hot, almost as if it were alive. She ran to the window, opened it, and threw the doll out as hard as she could. She watched it land behind some bushes at the far end of the yard. When Janine came home from school, her mom scolded her. You're lucky we found that doll, she said. Mary was almost hysterical looking for it. But Mom, Janine interrupted, it's not a normal doll. It's really... There was a sudden crash. Janine and her mom ran upstairs. The heavy trunk had somehow flipped completely upside down. Underneath, Mary's muffled voice was screaming hysterically. Their mom yanked the trunk off. Mary was curled in a ball, holding her head and crying. The doll lay a few feet away near the bed. It was staring up at Janine with that awful smile. Suddenly, it said in its scratchy voice,
Now it's your turn to play.
Janine kicked the doll as hard as she could. Now do you believe me, she shouted. It almost killed her. Mary was put to bed. She wasn't badly hurt, but she wouldn't stop crying. Why did she do that, she wept. She was my friend. That afternoon, Janine grabbed the doll and headed outside. There was smoke in the air. Mr. Fletcher down the street was burning leaves in his yard. Janine pretended to watch the bonfire and smiled at Mr. Fletcher, who was raking leaves. She waited until his back was turned, then threw the doll into the flames. She turned and ran before he could see what she did. The next day was Saturday. Mary was well enough to go out, so their parents took her with them when they went to visit friends next door. Janine was left alone to watch TV, which was fine with her. At first, Janine, curled in front of the TV, thought the scratching sound was part of the movie. Then she hit the mute button and listened. What was that? Janine held her breath. Was it her imagination? But no, there it was again. With a sick feeling, Janine realized the sound was coming from the front door. Something was out there trying to get in. Janine stood up, her heart pounding. "It's a cat," she said, even though she knew it wasn't. "Shoo, go away!" But the noise didn't stop. It went on and on, like fingernails dragging down a stone wall. Janine ran to her room, dove into bed, and pulled pillows over her head. But she could still hear it, and she knew it was out there, waiting to be let back in. Janine knew what she had to do. Trying to feel brave, she walked back down to the door. The scratching stopped as she grabbed the handle. "Okay," she said to herself. 1, 2, she hesitated, and 3, she yanked the door open. The doll was standing there, blackened and charred almost beyond recognition. It fell forward, its eyes glinting.
Hello, my name is Talking Terry, and I'm going to...
Janine slammed the door as hard as she could on the doll's neck. The doll's head was now dangling by a wire, the eyes popping open and shut. Janine grabbed an umbrella. She opened the door and, taking aim, swung the umbrella with all her might. The doll went flying, its broken body turning over and over past the hedges and across the lawn. The scream faded away as Janine slammed the door. That afternoon, a girl was wandering down the sidewalk. She was lonely and wished she had someone to play with. She tripped over something and stopped to see what it was. It was weird, a round, black object the size of a baseball. It was so gross she almost threw it away. But something cool happened. Bright blue eyes suddenly fluttered open in the ball.
Hello, my name is Talking Terry. I want to be your friend.
And then, terribly, it smiled.
Wow.
That was a great story, Kiki.
Yeah. All I can think of is that doll's head smiling. Ew.
Very creepy.
I'm glad you guys liked it.